The game that we speak of today makes every internet gun nerd shiver in fear. Let me tell you, they quake in their spurs every single time you mutter the words Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Legend tells that this is a 2013 game where the developers encountered the word realism and proceeded to have an immense allergic reaction. Now, Call of Juarez Gunslinger takes depictions of the Old West seen in dime novels and spits it out into a video game format. The art style basically screams it out to you with the cell shading and the old-fashioned screen border. Yet, like any dime novel, there's plenty of inconsistencies in the storytelling. In fact, the game pokes fun at these Western tall tales by just changing random details in the level. There's a couple points where you come across random obstructions and magically there's a clear path. Wow! I'm telling you this because the game also uses this factor to justify the lack of realism. I mean, realism isn't exactly a trait that you associate with a depiction of the Old West, but man, do the developers really push that unrealistic get we ball mindset, especially with their depictions of Western guns.
I freely admit that my plan of attack was not just moronic, but clearly insane.
Let us take the 6-shooter revolver, for example. It's the first weapon you start off with, and it serves as a depiction of the ever-so iconic cult single-action army. Or is it? This is not a cult product. It's a Remington product. You have plenty of images of the actual Peacemaker online, so why would you model it off of a Remington 1890, which is a Peacemaker look-alike? Okay, so brief intermission because I do need to redo this in post. But you might be asking yourself, GTSFT, what is the difference between the Remington 1890, which is up here, and the Colt Single Action Army, which is down here? I'm gonna be honest, there's like two minuscule differences. The first indicator is the amount of screws. So on the 1890 over here, there's 2 screws on the frame, whereas on the Single Action Army, there is 3 screws instead. A better indicator is looking at the grips over here. So with the Single Action Army grip, it kind of forms a straight edge as it meets the frame, whereas with the Remington 1890, the grip doesn't really go that far all the way to the frame. It's kind of like angled still. Compare that to the in-game model. It has the 2 characteristics of the 1890 that we just mentioned, and that's it. All right, back to it. Maybe this was a purposeful gotcha moment from the modeling team. I don't think we will ever know. Questionable model choices aside, this weapon can still make a comeback, that is if it has some cool animations. This is a single action, right? So you manually pull back the hammer after every shot. But what if I were to, let's say, spam the trigger? That's right, every single action is secretly a double action in this universe. I suspect that the reason why they didn't just loop the cocking animation is because it'd be pretty awkward to look at. Imagine trying to aim this thing, but your big fat thumb is just blocking the sights with every shot. So here it's a case of cutting corners for the sake of gameplay. It even seems like corners were cut during the reload animation for the 6-shooter. Pretty smooth. Wait up though. Analyze the movement of those fingers. The extractor rod just goes unused. The reasoning for no extractor rod usage is kind of the same here. It's just less work that the developers have to worry about. If you're gonna use the extractor rod in the animation, then you gotta animate one finger pushing on it, then another inserting the cartridge, then a final one to rotate the cylinder. All those finger movements in like one hand motion is going to be pretty painful to deal with. A bit off topic, but Battlefield 1 might actually be the best realistic Peacemaker reload that I've seen. It's fast, but it's also believable depending on your ammo count. Another good one I've seen comes from these 2 Roblox games that I'm showing up on screen right now. Like, they use the extractor rod, but they manage to get all the motions in one solid rhythm that's very satisfying to look at. Yeah, but the one in Call of Juarez Gunslinger, I mean, I guess it's smooth, but Let us talk about shotguns. And luckily, this game grants you access to a boomstick in the most ceremonious way possible.
Luckily, I located Deputy Bob Ollinger's mean-ass shotgun.
Okay, say that is quite the hype intro, if I do say so myself. Both in game and real life, this shotgun was used by a lawman named Bob Ollinger. Ollinger was a real sheriff who allegedly met his end to Billy the Kid in 1881. While Billy was incarcerated, Ollinger briefly left the premises to have lunch. During this, Billy had managed to escape and grab a hold of Ollinger's 10-gauge. He used this same shotgun to take out Ollinger in a flurry of pellets. Of course, the events play a lot differently. Billy just throws you the keys and goes bye-bye.
Oh, and the most epic duel happens in the game's version.
So we stood there in the middle of the street, eyeball to eyeball.
The game version, though, is not the DB from that time period. Rather, this is a Remington Model 1889. It can still be a 10-gauge depending on the variant, but it's not the 10-gauge that I want and I need. So you can actually find out what happened to the 10-gauge Whitney in real life. It was actually sold at an auction back in 2021 for $978,000, as you can see on screen right now. And with this auction also comes with a bunch of reference images of the actual shotgun. Comparing it with the in-game model, you can see that, yeah, there are a couple differences, the shape of the stock mainly, and also the parts making up the triggers and the receiver. But yeah, that's a cool bit of trivia for you. You know, if I were to rank all of these weapons on the quote-unquote cringe tier list, third place would be the shotguns, second for the revolvers, although there's the matter of first place that we must address. It's time we address the rifle. There's nothing off in particular about this weapon. It's based off of Winchester Model 1892, and in my opinion, it's got the best stats in the game. It's arguably the best weapon in the game, yet that comes at the cost of it being at the highest on the cringe tier list. Brother, what the hell am I looking at? You literally modeled the loading gate onto the weapon, so why is this man inserting cartridges into the rifle's bottom? Up until this point, I've excused the errors since they either were done for the sake of saving time, or there was a lack of reference material. But I don't see how this benefits gameplay besides screwing with the viewer's head. When you reload this thing, both animations end up eating one half of the screen. For the sake of visibility, it would just be easier to use the loading gate. Despite my complaints, I actually haven't run into too many issues with this animation. I personally think it's kind of funny to look at. I think we've about finalized the cringe list over here. First place, well, obviously goes to the rifle. List finalized. I think it's about time I give this game some proper feedback rather than just crashing out mindlessly every 5 seconds. It's important to understand that this game is intentionally not meant to be grounded, and the developers are 100% aware of that. The weapons are purposely meant to be goofy, to fit with the dime novel aesthetic. Gameplay is actually very solid. You have access to this ability called concentration, that essentially allows you to slow down time and pick off enemies with pure precision. You'll need to be on your headshot A game in order to increase your combo. Yes, this game has a combo meter. Let me tell you, mowing through a large crowd and seeing a larger integer produces many happy chemicals in the brain. So going out and running around like a maniac can actually be helpful, so long as you can take out a huge crowd of enemies as you go. As much as I've sounded like a madman in this video, genuinely do give Call of Juarez Gunslinger a try if it ever goes on sale. Good game. Alright, end the video. Everyone pack it up now.